Hello grade 12s. In this video we're going to be looking at reactions in organic chemistry. So there are three different types of reactions that we're going to be studying, and I'm just going to introduce you to these three different types of reactions. So to start off, we have the addition reaction, and by definition an addition reaction is a reaction in which a double or triple bond in the starting material will be broken, and elements are then going to be added to that material. So let's think about it nicely. Double or triple bonds. This should remind you of unsaturated organic compounds, such as our alkenes that contain a double bond and the alkynes that contain a triple bond. So what we know is that when we are having or are looking at an addition reaction, we are going to start off with some unsaturated compound. And where those double or triple bonds are, those bonds are going to be broken, and we are going to take some other element, which might, for example, be hydrogen. We might have water reacting with our substance so that we form an alcohol. We might even have one of the halogens, right? Some type of halogen reacting with our unsaturated organic substance. Okay, but this is an addition reaction. We go from being unsaturated to becoming saturated. So to help you remember how to identify an addition reaction, we say we start off with an unsaturated substance. In the end, it becomes saturated, and we therefore have an addition reaction. So to remember how to identify an addition reaction, you just remember USA. When it starts off unsaturated, becomes saturated, you have an addition reaction. So in an addition reaction, we find no atoms are going to be removed from the organic molecule. Okay. We're only going to have substances being added to that organic molecule, and therefore a more saturated product is going to be formed at the end. And what you're going to notice is that the number of molecules are going to decrease as a result of this reaction. So you might have some alkene reacting with H2 gas, and in the end you are going to end up with an alkane, right? In the beginning, we have two types of molecules, and in the end, we only have one type of molecule. That's what they mean when they say the number of molecules decrease as a result of the reaction. And these are all just pointers to help you to identify an addition reaction. We are going to study these four different types of addition reactions. Number one, hydrogenation. Number two, halogenation. So from this you should sort of gauge that halogenation probably means we are adding H2. Halogenation probably means we are adding some type of halogen, such as bromine or chlorine or fluorine or iodine. Okay, we are adding these substances. Number three, we have hydrohalogenation. Hydrohalogenation, we have some hydrogen atom that is connected to a halogen atom, and we are going to be adding a hydrogen atom and a halogen to our unsaturated compound. Then lastly, we have what we call hydration. When you are dehydrated, it means that your body is missing water or needs water. And when we say you're hydrated, you become hydrated because you drink water. So a hydration reaction is one in which we are adding water. These are the four different types of addition reactions we are going to be studying, and in videos to follow, I will look at each of these different types in depth. Okay, now the second type of reaction we're going to be studying is called an elimination reaction. By definition, an elimination reaction is a reaction in which elements of the starting material are lost and a double or triple bond is going to be formed. Okay, so notice here that we are now doing the opposite of an addition reaction. We start off with something that is saturated, and we end off with something that is unsaturated, something that contains double or triple bonds. So we are taking a saturated compound and we are removing elements from it so that it becomes unsaturated. The best way to learn this, or to remember how to identify an elimination reaction, is to say when we start off with a saturated compound and it becomes unsaturated, we have an elimination reaction. So you're going to remember Sue, and Sue is going to help you to identify your elimination reaction. Okay, then the number, some other pointer, right? You're going to see the number of molecules are going to increase as a result of the reaction. So for example, if we start off with an alkane and we have a reaction and in the end we end up with an alkene plus H2 because we've removed 2 hydrogen atoms from our alkane. Notice we start off with one compound and in the end we have 2 different types of molecules, 2 different types of compounds. There's an increase in the number of molecules as a result of this reaction, and therefore we sort of know that this might be an elimination reaction. Okay, now there are 3 different types of elimination reactions that we're going to study. Number 1, we're going to be looking at dehydrohalogenation. Hydrohalogenation, we were adding some hydrogen bonded to a halogen, so for example bromine. And when we are performing dehydrohalogenation, we are now removing a hydrogen atom and a halogen atom. We are eliminating them from our saturated compound. Okay, remember when I use the term saturated here, I'm not specifically referring to the hydrocarbons. I'm referring to any substance that only contains single bonds, whether it be a hydrocarbon, which only contains hydrogen and carbon, or whether it's some other substance like an alcohol. Okay, we are not specifically referring to the hydrocarbons. Okay, on to the next type of elimination reaction. We're going to be looking at dehydration. So I explained to you, when you are hydrated, you drank water and now you're happy and you're hydrated. But when you dehydrate something, you are removing water. So a dehydration reaction is where we are going to be removing an H and an OH, and we will be forming water as a byproduct of this reaction. That's a dehydration reaction, and it's one of our elimination reactions. Then we have cracking of hydrocarbons. Cracking of hydrocarbons is basically where you have some long hydrocarbon chain. Hydrocarbon, just hydrogen and carbon bonded together, and you're going to crack that compound to form smaller hydrocarbon chains. That is cracking. Okay, so these are the 3 different types of elimination reactions, and in videos to follow, I'm going to walk you through each different type. This is just an introduction to your elimination reactions. Then we have one last type of reaction that we're going to be studying. This is called a substitution reaction. And we say a substitution reaction, by definition, is a reaction in which an atom or a group of atoms in a molecule will be replaced. Okay, to substitute is to replace one thing with another thing. Okay, it's replaced by another atom or group of atoms. Okay, so substitution, as a result of substitution, the number of molecules is going to remain unchanged because we're just substituting. We're taking one thing and replacing it with something else. In order to explain substitution in depth, I'm going to need to show you a specific reaction. So just hold on for now. You'll see in the other videos how I'll explain substitution properly. But for now, just know you can identify substitution reaction because it's going to start off saturated. In the end, you're going to have a saturated compound because we only substituted atoms or groups of atoms, and therefore it's a substitution reaction. So to remember how to identify substitution reactions, it's SSS or triple S. You've learned USA, SU, and triple S. These are going to help you in your exam so that you don't get confused. So the different types of substitution reactions that we're going to be studying. Number 1, we have halogenation. Now you might remember the word halogenation from the other types of reactions. It's exactly the same name, but here we are referring to the substitution type of halogenation. We have, so we have halogenation of an alkane. We're also going to study halogenation of an alcohol. Then we're going to study hydrolysis, where you're going to see a strong base will be involved. And we're going to be looking at hydrolysis where water will be involved in our reaction. But all four of these reactions I'm going to explain to you in depth in the videos to follow. For now, just make sure that you are familiar with the 3 different types of reactions and have some idea of how to identify them.